Buuza Kamisona.
We welcome you again to this program of Buuza Commissioner. This week, as I promised you the last time, we are going to continue with the second part of the question of our brother, Mr. Joseph Wasoma from Chileka, who asked the question, what's behind different taxes on one business and how are these taxes calculated? So our focus today is on indirect taxes because last week we dealt with the issue of direct taxes. The next example of a tax that is indirect is excise duty. And excise duty, as I mentioned earlier, is tax paid on a few items. And for the case of Uganda, because it varies from country to country, we pay excise duty on items like cement, items like cooking oil, items like water, soda, beer, wine, spirits, and a few other items along that line. Now, excise duty is either paid as a percentage of the cost of the item, which is called ad valorem, or as a specific amount. A specific amount as in the charge of local excise duty is 50 shillings on per litre of water. That's a fixed amount. Or as a percentage, it is 10%. And the law says 10% of 50 shillings, whichever is higher. So if your water is very cheap, the cost of producing this bottle of water is very cheap, and it happens to fall below 10%, then we'll go with 10%. If it is above 10%, then we will go with, if it is above the 50 shillings per litre, then we'll go with the percentage. So let me give another example of a factory that produces water. And we can say a factory that produces 100,000 bottles of water. And this factory looks through their costs of cleaning this water, packaging it, and they come up with what they call the ex-factory price before you put anything. Ex-factory price of a bottle of water, of one bottle of water, and you put this cost at 650 shillings as an example. For you to compute the excise duty on this water, it will be 10% of the 650 cost of each bottle of the 100,000 bottles being sold, and this will come to 10%. First of all, this is 65 million. 10% of this will be 6.5 million. Forgive me when I do these calculations mentally, it is just in the interest of saving time, but you can double check it. This one is 65 million, 10% of that would be 6.5. So this would be the local excise duty paid on the entire 100,000 bottles of water for sale. But what would be the cost of excise duty on just one bottle? Remember, it is 10% of 650. The actual excise duty on one bottle would be 65. And what would be therefore the cost of the bottle? It would be this 65 plus 650, which would be, okay? So 715 would be the actual cost of a bottle of water with excise duty inclusive. So what does it mean? If I go in a supermarket and I buy this bottle of water at 1,000 shillings, what this means is that the person who bought this water incurred the 650, which was the ex-factory price, added on the 65, which is the local excise duty on this bottle, and of course added on their other costs, which is about 285. And that is how you get to pay 1,000 shillings for this bottle of water. Therefore, the person who has paid the excise duty on this water is not the supermarket which has sold you this bottle at 1,000. It's not the business. It is the man who is going to drink this water. The 1,000 you've paid includes excise duty. It includes 650, the cost of production. It includes the other costs of doing business, as well as the profit of the business selling this. And that's why you now pay 1,000. So, in brief, that is how you know that this tax is paid by the business directly, and therefore it is a direct tax, or it is paid by the final consumer, and therefore it is an indirect tax, which is otherwise known as consumption taxes.
Buuza Kamisona. Now you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790 141 887, and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Buuza Kamisona.